Is everyone good?
Yeah.
Super good.
Damiani,
good.
Good to go?
Happy morning.
Happy morning.
Good burger.
It's afternoon. We made it to afternoon, actually. Hello, everyone. This is GT Time. I'm your host and moderator, Kyle Bossman, and joining us, as always, is our uniquely talented and knowledgeable panel, including Brandon Jones.
Hello.
Daniel Bloodworth.
Hey.
And Michael Damiani.
Hey,
Do you want approval for that intro?
I want your impressions. I want to know what you all thought of that.
I could have used more energy.
No, I got...
This, like any show, you got to start it off with a ton of energy right at the front.
That's the thing, Brandon.
You
like,
can't build it back up.
Last week there was a whole comment string of just like, you know what, the shouting's a little much. Shane never shouted, and it's like, all right, fine, there it is. I'll just do everyone's.
Shane shouted a lot. He didn't do like an announcer's impression, but he shouted.
Yeah, well, I'm going a little more flat this week. We'll see. Also, no laughing. I'm going to try not to laugh.
Oh, come on.
My laughing is apparently...
No, stop.
Okay.
People accuse Kyle of fake laughing all the time.
They've accused me of fake laughing my entire life. And I feel like once anyone accuses you of anything your entire life, like it's got to be like, you know what, at some point, they're probably right. So I'm going to try
No, that's not true. What?
If someone is saying like, hey,
People have accused me of like not eating well all my life, and that's not true at all.
He eats well.
Okay. I get, yeah, thanks, Blood.
And not just a lot, like just the way he eats.
He's a really good eater. Yeah. Just so measured and just, it doesn't make sense to anyone listening. Last weekend, we had a real spooky Halloween weekend because we all put on our proton packs and we all had to find the bets. We were bet busting.
Brandon was cutting like a monster. What are you talking about?
Well, we grabbed them, we got them in suited up, and we were all bet busting again because I forgot to lock in the bets last week.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. So we had a really spooky, weird weekend. Brandon did edit in the meantime, but yeah, we found them. All the bets were locked in. Don't worry about those bets. But we had a crazy, another stressful Halloween weekend. Locking in bets. No, I'm serious. I'm not even laughing. Let's do our corrections. Corrections and clarifications, because these are a lot of clarifications. There's a lot of fighting game characters who are like in wheelchairs.
I would imagine so. Yeah, when we mentioned that, I was like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" Like, there's like what for like a good fighting game? There's like 30, 40 potentially characters. Like,
one of them's got to be in a wheelchair, right? Is that what you're saying? Professor X in that X-Men fighting game. Oh, you could knock him out of his wheelchair.
I was just gonna say they're probably all Japanese, but that well, a Japanese publisher or developer.
Most fighting games are, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a perfect pick.
And there was a really cool one from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It was just a guy on a horse.
Was that Children of the Atom? What game was that?
It's the one you did. We did top 10 X-Men games. You remember that?
Next Dimension?
Yeah.
No, Next Dimension was like the third. Children of the Atom, I think, was the first one. Oh man, now we're gonna need a clarification.
It was the 3D. It was a 3D fighting game.
I thought somebody said it was Next Dimension.
I've never played Professor X in a wheelchair in a fighting game in my life, and now I'm gonna make it a mission to track this down
and knock him out of it too. Just like, hey, and then he just has to get back into his wheelchair. That's pretty cool. In House of Cards, Kevin Spacey uses a PS3 controller. Bloodworth said Xbox.
Oh.
No, I didn't.
No.
You were spreading this information.
You're spreading this. I've never seen House of Cards.
Why would you say that it was using an Xbox controller? Or was it Damiani?
From the future, corrections music, next episode.
What?
It was Michael Damiani who said Kevin Spacey used Xbox controller, not Daniel Bloodworth.
Okay, all right. So
and future corrections music.
Okay. Damiani, why were you spreading misinformation like that?
Because he just plays video games.
He very specifically only plays Sony games, though. He had a Vita, and he was just like, what games does he have? He's like, all the games. He's like, I need one of those for my car. Like, it's so weird. It's a little weird. You don't know if Sony...
I think it was my commentary that like all FPS games are the same to me. So they just all look the same.
All controllers look the same to you, too?
No, the games. I said he was playing a first-person shooter.
He was playing a first-person shooter.
Yeah. And I associate FPSs with Xbox 360 from last gen, because everyone played them on Xbox 360.
That's prejudice.
This is what happens.
Yeah.
This is what gaming does.
And corrections music. This is what happens.
Yeah.
Wow.
Blood, I'm sorry I pinned that on you.
Don't worry, I did the future corrections already, so you're absolved.
Damiani proved he's got a good soul, and he was able to...
own up to it. He could have thrown Blood under the bus, too.
He pulled him out from under the bus. He did Superman. He lifted the bus up. He pulled out Bloodworth.
Blood, come on out of the bus. So let's talk about game news. We have a game announcement.
Not excited about game news.
Well, I don't know.
Bad game news this week.
You know I love game announcements. This one's not really as big as a game announcement as usual. Majora's Mask is coming to 3DS in the spring of 2015.
And I haven't been there for Nintendo Directs live with you guys. Like when you guys will do that on stream.
Well, they mostly happen at like 6 a.m.
I've heard this guy talk about this so much. I was so happy to be there when it happened and see him. Because he's trying, it's like there's the pressure to be entertaining because we're on camera and we're like, people are tuning in to get our perspective on watching the Nintendo Direct. So you want to say something funny, say something relevant, but you can hear the excitement, deep down in the well of Damiani.
Yeah, that's what people honestly want. They want, instead of funny clips, they want to see your genuine reaction more than anything.
I was way more excited about him being excited than about Majora's Mask coming to 3DS.
Yeah, is that exciting? Damiani, is it exciting that Majora's Mask is coming to 3DS?
It's exciting. I'm glad. The way they announced it was exciting because people have been like, "It's happening. It's happening at some point." We've been joking about it forever. It's like, when are they going to announce it? It just came out of nowhere. I was like, yes, that's the perfect way to announce that game. Just like show it. They showed off a ton of gameplay. It's like apparently it comes out in the UK February 15th. There's a release date up on the UK site now. Don't know if they changed it or not, but you could pre-order it there. So spring is apparently February, March-ish. So, and it's coming out in spring, and this is November, and they announced it in November officially. It's like, wow. Remember Ocarina of Time 3D? They announced it like a whole year before.
Absolutely,
at E3. It was like that stealth announcement. They showed that 3D demo. Like, oh, this is actually a game. Like, IGN got clarification. It was like, oh, no, we got, like, it's going to actually come out on 3DS. So it's going to be a launch title, but then it was, like, pushed back till June. So that had, like, kind of like a long lead time, like over a year. This is like, you got 3 months, 4 months. It's coming out. It's like, yeah, this is cool. And the way they did it, just start off, like, they just begin. They do the sound effect. You hear like the like it's this like thump thump thing that's clearly from Majora's Mask. That's what's up, because I wasn't really like, we were still talking when that happened. Yeah. Like we saw the ESB, we were like kind of still having a little discussion, and like I hear it and subconsciously my mind's like, oh, Majora's Mask, cool. But it didn't register immediately until I saw the font. I was like, oh, this is happening. But then the first shot threw me off. Because you were saying, like, is it new? Did they do a lot new to it before we started?
Yeah.
Like that first shot of the area, I was like, I don't recognize this. So, oh man, they trolled me. It's not like Majora's Mask. But then the next shot, I was like, no, that's like, no, that's stock pot in. What is going on here? Like, it's happening. And I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool.
Interesting thing about this announcement, they said the date first. Spring 2015 is the first thing you see.
Yeah.
And then you see the game.
That's cool.
And I think that's part of just there was too much like build up. Blood, are you excited about this announcement?
I mean, I'm still, I played a bit of Ocarina of Time 3D. And I do like the 3D effect, but I kind of feel like I would rather, like games that are in like a 3D world, 3D space, I prefer to play on a console. So it would be cool if they somehow release these new like texture redesigns or whatever for like the Wii U. But yeah, I mean, I think it's great that they're bringing attention back to it again. There's things that Majora's Mask has done that they haven't really done in Zelda since then that I wish they would pull in.
Be specific. I'm curious about what makes this game in particular special.
The whole way the side quests work, all those character interactions and like locking them in and like that whole logbook that you did, and it would take some different type of thinking to make that all come together without that looping time mechanic. But I thought that was really cool, and I also thought it was really cool the way you were able to actually like play as a Goron and a Zora and a Deku Scrub, and like just very different feel to those characters.
You get to play as a wolf in Twilight Princess.
Still not as cool as a Zora.
Not even close. Not even close to as cool. Yeah, you know what I think is the closest thing was in Wind Waker, where it's like you got to get photos of particular moments. And there's those two people who walk around the island.
Right.
When they pass by, they give each other like a wistful stare, and then you snap a photo of that. That's like the closest, but that is like this game is full of moments like that, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing is like you have this sense that these are actually fully fleshed out characters, and they have lives and all of that, and there's ways to kind of bring them together. Whereas a lot of NPCs is like, okay, well, go get this thing for me, come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were playing Badlands? Is that what it's called?
Hardlands.
Hardlands. And I was asking, like, are these villagers tied to specific buildings? Because that actually, like, that's a big deal.
Yeah. They're not.
That you see people that It's why I like Bully. Bully's that way because like all the characters are very specific people, and you see them. So when you recognize somebody, so when you see like the messenger delivering mail, it's like the third, fourth time you loop and go back in time, it's like, oh yeah, I am reliving those 3 days.
Yeah. Or, you know, just that crazy thing with the hand in the toilet. You know,
it's a weird game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like maybe now going back to Majora's Mask, maybe somewhat lost on people, because there is that sense of like Twilight Zone to it, because it was, you know, reusing a lot of the same assets and things that Ocarina of Time had. But in very different ways. So it was like you had this eerie sense, but then there was also, it's like, okay, this character model is now a completely different character, and he's kind of a bad guy now. And then the dirt patches that you plant beans in are now like stuck on the side of a building, and like, what is going on there? And it's like all of this stuff, and like there was that UFO quest with the cows.
Yeah, and the ranch.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
This was the first game with Tingle.
That too. I mean, but it was just, yeah, there's just such a weird, eerie feel to the whole game. And it's partly because of, yeah, how they reused their assets and just kind of made you feel like you went into nightmare version of Ocarina of Time.
Yeah. Damian, you almost said something.
And Blood said a lot about like why like I'm excited about it too, and why I care about that game. Like I wish people could go back and remember what or at least see what it was like when the game came out at the time. Because up until then, except for Link's Awakening, which was really good, Zelda games always took place like in Hyrule. It was like the same kind of tropes were in there. And then even Link's Awakening, to an extent, still kind of felt a little bit like a Link to the Past. But it was unique because it did all this stuff that broke away from like the traditional story. It's not in Hyrule. It's like there's this windfish. Majora's Mask took it a little bit further. It's like we're gonna take all the stuff that you saw in Ocarina of Time and like just twist it around, like these doppelgangers, like characters who are nameless in Ocarina of Time, like Cuckoo Lady in Kakariko Village that you had to like get the 6 cuckoos for, and she gave you like the egg to start the quest, the side quest. She actually has a name in this one. It's like Andrew. She's like trying to marry Keife or however you pronounce his name, and like there's like all these characters had stories. It's like, whoa, like this is what I wanted a little bit in Ocarina of Time. I understand they took a lot of effort to make Ocarina of Time, but now they're taking those characters and giving me more of a reason to want to be in this world and explore it. And yes, it was kind of like creepy and weird, this twisted thing. I've never seen it, but I see it brought up in a few documentaries. Is the show Twin Peaks is it 2 towns with like the same people on each side or something? I may have this completely wrong. I see Twin Peaks brought up when Majora's Mask.
I think it's more of a vibe.
Yeah, like apparently Majora's Mask's vibe is like Twin Peaks or something. Like it was some Miyamoto was talking about it, and like in the lower thirds of Twin Peaks, like some show.
They're both coming back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You can watch Twin Peaks while playing your
I think the
Majora's
important
Mask.
thing is Ocarina of Time got a shit ton of remakes, re-releases, remakes. Got like the GameCube re-release with the Master Quest the first time. Then they got the 3DS remake. It's been re-released like on every freaking platform imaginable since Ocarina of Time. Majora's Mask never got anything. It got like a Virtual Console release.
And that was a little weird too, right?
Yeah, it was a little.
Because the expansion packs made it hard.
Well, it was included in the Zelda collection, that like 4-game bundle, but it had audio issues. Like I could play it on GameCube, but it would crash. It had audio delay issues. It wasn't a very good port. And then you had the Virtual Console version, which was a little bit better, but it always felt like it was playing like second fiddle. So I know there are people. I just want to touch upon this point. People are complaining that Nintendo is wasting time remaking these games because they want new Zelda games. They're like, oh cool, you remade Ocarina of Time 3D to show what the 3DS could do. Why are you remaking another Zelda game? Make us a new one. Like, take that nice 3D engine you just touched up for Ocarina of Time and make us an original new 3D Zelda game. I don't want to keep playing the old ones over and over again. But at the same time, it's like, man, Majora's Mask it's a really good game. Some would argue it was better than Ocarina of Time, depending on what side of the fence you sit on. And people are like, hey, show Majora's Mask some love. Like, give it the same treatment Ocarina of Time get. So it's kind of like this balancing act. Like, I'm really excited for it, and I'm glad we're gonna get it, and it deserves it. But at the same time, I hope this isn't like the end of this. Like, we got A Link Between Worlds, which was amazing, but it was like an older style Zelda game. I kind of wanted to see if they could make an original 3D Zelda game on 3DS using that engine, like the graphics engine, how good it looks. But I'm also a little bit like with Bloodworth in that I kind of want that only to be on my console. Like at the same time we have these 2 games remade on 3DS. I was like, why can't these be in like HD on Wii U right now? Like I'd rather have that. Like the Wind Waker gets it. why isn't Ocarina of Time, the superior game, get the HD remake? Why are they putting it on the 3DS? It's because they want to show they could do it.
Yeah.
I don't think they could put the Wind Waker on 3DS. I don't think that would be like possible without compromising. But there's these different directions that people are this tug of war is going on because people are going, why you keep doing Nintendo remakes? Stop doing this. Be original. And like that's what Majora's Mask was. It was like this original type of game that was so different from what you'd seen in Zelda games before. It was like, man, this is insane. This is so cool. And Nintendo's not like, especially the Zelda team isn't beholden to having to like stay to the standard tropes and settings.
Yeah.
They can do really amazing things with that series.
Remember like the whole the whole backlash there originally was like the 4 dungeons. There was only 4 dungeons. Without understanding how that whole scope of that game worked.
That used to be the biggest thing. Like Majora's Mask is not better. It only has 4 dungeons, guys. Like Ocarina of Time had like 12 or 13 dungeons. What are you guys talking about?
So that's what I think is actually interesting about Majora's Mask. Is like this game exists because of its limitations as it is. Basically, the 3-day life cycle, the smaller environments, the number of dungeons is because I think they had a year to make it.
So they had less than 2 years to make it. Like Miyamoto went to AJ Onuma and told him, I want you to make a Zelda game in 2 years using Ocarina of Time's engine. Yeah. Like we took so long to release Ocarina of Time, we don't want to make fans wait too long for the next one, but we also spent all this work on this engine, like or was modified Mario 64 engine, but tweaking it to deliver Ocarina of Time. Like, why can't we just let's get out another game? I want to see what you can do in 2 years. Because remember, Onuma, this is Majora's Mask, the first one he was completely helming. Yeah. He was basically, yeah, you like get going, man. Like this is your like trial by fire here. Like what can you do?
And you get 2 years to make a Zelda game. Yeah, you can't make it as big as Ocarina of Time. Like you have to.
Well, no, he didn't say you can't make it as big. He said like these are your limitations. What exists there is what you're starting with, but like you need to have a finished product. Yeah, 2 years.
And so that's what I think is cool. Is from those limitations created a game where the characters matter, the NPCs matter. This world is more compact and becomes because of that more alive than any village that's in Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, like it's not as expansive as a world as Ocarina of Time. At least it felt that way to me, but like the difference is there's more to do. Like that whole argument about open world games, like do you just make it giant for the sake of being expansive, or do you care about density? Like going, like people used to argue like Arkham City, like man, that world's not that big, but like there was so much to do at any point. Like yeah, there weren't like NPCs around, but activities, side quests, like that's what Majora's Mask was. Ocarina of Time did have side quests and stuff, and it was like trying to process that game when it first came out, I think kind of let people like look away from the lack of like side content. It did have a lot, but not as near as much as Majora's Mask, especially like with the NPCs. And like what Majora's Mask was like, man, can they build? And that's what I've been hoping for is like, can you make another Zelda game where you have the expansiveness of like an Ocarina of Time or again like a Twilight Princess, but you make it feel as dense as Majora's Mask was? And like they have never achieved both of those.
I don't think anyone can. I think you have to choose one or the other, basically.
I mean, that's what everyone argues, but I think like some games have like kind of proved. Like I think Arkham City kind of proved that like you can do that a little bit. You might have to sacrifice just a little bit of the expansiveness, but maybe that's more valuable. Like you give the illusion that it's super expansive because there's just so much to do. It's not like just run from one side of the like field to the other side of the field. Like it looks huge, but it takes like 5 minutes to do it. Or like what is it, Final Fantasy 15? They're like, it's gonna take you an hour to cross this giant zone. And like watching that demo, I understood they said like we removed enemies and stuff because we don't want to we want a smooth demo to show you guys. But like I don't care if I see those mountains and can walk to them anymore. I want stuff to do in between there. There better be some caves I can explore. There better be like, I come across like that. They said like there might be houses. Like that's what I want to see in like Zelda as well. It's like give me stuff to do along the way getting there, and give me a reason to want to go off in this direction, not just for I just want to see what's over there. Like that's not enough anymore. And that all goes back to
there has to be there has to be a reward. Otherwise, you get into like the whole. Again, you get to waypoint simulators. Like you just end up going to whatever the thing tells you to go to, and you just go by all of these buildings and things and don't even realize, it's kind of funny, like, the crew, it has these landmarks in it, right?
Yeah, you have a whole country.
It's like, if they didn't put those things on there to like stop and look at that building, you'd never know that they recreated that building, because you're just gonna drive by and go to wherever you're going. And so, especially like, an adventure game, like a Zelda game or something like that, like, you need to design that kind of thing. And those, what was it, Twilight Princess? Where Miyamoto was like going around and like poking the designers and stuff. It's like, hey, why is that rock there? like every little stupid thing in the world, Miyamoto like wanted a justification for.
Well, that's a little.
Why is that rock there, Kyle?
Because sometimes there are rocks that are naturally in Miyamoto. Please let me.
fired.
Please let me. No. Let me. I'm designing a temple right now. Please don't look at my rocks.
I mean, that's fine. Like question that, but like if you look at Twilight Princess at the end, like I think while it was nice to have a nice giant overworld again, there was like almost nothing to do in that overworld. It's like it was just basically traveling.
The field was there for horse battles.
Yeah, it was like for horse combat, and like okay, and even then, like the horse combat wasn't like that like fun after a while. Or it was fun for a little bit, and it was like all right. Other than that boss battle, it was like. Like any more cool stuff like that?
No, not generally. Yeah.
And there was the escort mission where you got to protect the carriage.
That was like my first failure of that game.
I was
actually.
like, there wasn't enough of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, but Majora's Mask had that. And the other thing was, yes, Majora's Mask had like all that stuff that couldn't fit into Ocarina of Time, like that time system. That seems to be the most polarizing thing about that game.
I think
people
can't do
either
time system
love
again.
or hate that time system.
Yeah.
But this is one thing. I don't know if they've said anything about it. I think the reason people hated that time system so much is because how the save system worked in Majora's Mask. You had like 2 files, and then you had like the owl statues. So you could either hard save by resetting the cycle, going back in time, but you lost all your progress. Main quest items were retained, but disposable like bombs, rupees, progress within dungeons was reset back to 0. Mm-hmm. Or you could use the owl statues, but it was like the quick save feature in a lot of games. Once you came back from it, that save was erased.
Right.
So people would either lose progress, forgetting, oh, I saved, why did I lose my... Oh, I didn't do the hard save. Like I hope it was because of the limitations. I believe they tried to excuse it, saying like, "Oh, we want you to like feel like the world was more alive." Blah blah. It was a limitation.
Yeah.
And I hope that they give you proper save systems.
At the very least, you can just close your 3DS now and open it up later.
Yeah. Even if it's just like, I mean, because so much time, like everything was moving according to like that timer. It was just too much for the game to save state all those like specific instances. They could do a quick save, but it couldn't like overwrite your like main save. So fix that. I think will alleviate some of the complaints about that.
I hope it sells crazy. I hope it says, "Hey, make more weird games." You know.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be hilarious if it outsells Ocarina of Time 3D.
It could. It definitely could. Speaking of weird games, Nintendo's got some new IP, and they showed it also during this Nintendo Direct. Sorry, Blood's like new IP. I mean, you know, relatively new. We have Splatoon, and we have Codename Steam. We always say, Nintendo, where are your...
I missed Codename Steam, somehow.
What, sorry?
Somehow I missed the Codename Steam, whatever that is.
They even showed it at E3. Yeah. Everyone's always just like, Nintendo, where's your new IP? Stop making Kirby remakes. Where's your new games? They're like, here are our new games. Here they are. What do you think of them, panel?
Brandon's been quiet for a while.
I forgot the other one that you...
Splatoon.
Oh, Splatoon looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Splatoon looks like a lot of fun. I think just really fun. Steam, the style looks neat, but it doesn't. There's just something about the aesthetic of the world that doesn't really gel. I can't tell if I'm supposed to take it seriously or not. And
you're not.
Well, I did like the Ghost Recon game for 3DS. It was actually one of my favorite 3DS launch games.
Oh, the launch game.
So I could see that style of a game working really well for a portable experience, unless like the matches take forever, and then it's like, I mean, you can pause it just by closing the clamshell, but. Yeah, I think Splatoon is probably one that I dig more, but I don't get the like long-term like, oh, we're really investing in these huge new IPs, you know, much like a Bungie investing in Destiny or something, or like even Activision investing in that.
That's a good
point. Kind of like, oh yeah, this is a new name that you're not familiar with, but it's not something where it's like we're gonna get Project Steam 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, and if you think of how like
Splatoon feels like Boom Blocks. It's something like, oh, we'll always remember the Wii U. Like that was just one of those really breakout fun new IPs that came out for that, but like. Not something that's going to be a part of our lives forever.
I think it is kind of like that. I think if it succeeds, they'll definitely keep it going. I think you're right. It's not like this thing where they had all of the press come to visit them and walk around their studios and sign NDAs and just like, we can talk about Splatoon, but we can't talk about Splatoon. Like they didn't. There was never anything like that, like there was with Destiny, which was still absurd. If you think about that event in hindsight, that first press event, where people came away with nothing.
I thought it was absurd when it happened, but
yeah,
okay.
It's even more absurd now. What do you think of those? What do you think of those games?
No, I was glad to actually like see some single player on Splatoon, because at E3, you know, I think it was kind of uncertain, what it would be like, you know, or if it would even exist. I do feel like it doesn't have, like it's another one of those games where like it doesn't seem to have a world. It seems to have levels. You know what I mean? The different, like there's just like things floating around out in space or whatever, and you jump to and that.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing.
So to describe to anyone who hasn't seen it, Splatoon, the single player kind of looks Mario Galaxy-esque. It seems
Or
like
Mario 3D World, like.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. You are on chunks, it looks like. Multiplayer maps seem very grounded, actually. They seem like you're on like
they're
some
arenas.
surface. But yeah, they do seem like little planetoids, basically, that you kind of flop in between.
But no, I thought it was funny too when when it came on, and they were trying to describe what the characters were, and I'm like, you should just stop, just.
The octopus characters who are like tentacles with legs.
No, they were talking about they're squids, but they can take human form.
Oh yeah.
And it was like you don't. We get it.
Sometimes some things we'll just accept.
Just watch it. It'll be fine.
It definitely has a vibe. I think that game has a strong vibe, especially the way the trailer was.
And it seems like the mechanics are really deep. I like that you could figure out by watching them play. There's like one move that they did where they were like painted something and then did a jump off of it because they could move off of it.
Yeah.
But like, I know that's how you travel in the environment, but they did it to like a vertical surface
wall.
to
Yeah,
like
you swung
project
up the
themselves
wall,
on
yeah.
something. And it's fun that like they're not. It's kind of like Smash Brothers trailers where like they put in all the different crazy moves and you can like you really have to look carefully and pick out through quick editing like whoa, what just happened? Okay, like that's not somebody like taking my hand and bringing me through all the different gameplay steps, but just like I just had to piece that together just by looking at it. So it's kind of fun that they just a lot of good gameplay trailers. Like a lot of them, the Treasure Tracker trailer was really great.
Absolutely.
A lot of just letting them their games speak for themselves. Which is why, again, just touching on Majora's Mask really quick, but I love the announcement just like rolling right in with the trailer. Just like, and we'll just show you that, and that you get it. I think I think Miyamoto's Pikmin announcement would have done so much better if they had just started one of those shorts, that he was talking about. Instead of him starting out, oh my God, we got so excited when we saw him, and then it's like, what do you, okay.
Yeah,
that's what
It
you're
would have
saying.
been a letdown to find out afterwards that it was just a short film.
Sure.
Well, it was a letdown regardless.
Brandon, to anyone who didn't watch, please describe what that Pikmin and how that went.
He made Pikmin movies.
So first we see Miyamoto, right?
Right,
on
and he's
green
wearing
screen.
a Pikmin shirt.
Yep.
And which he keeps showing like multiple times, like a flasher. And he recalled, making these short films for E3 when they announced Pikmin 3, when they were following him around before the press conference. And he's like, I'm working on these shorts, and now we'll get to see a little bit of it. And they didn't look bad, but again, it wasn't like some big reveal. And again, with Pikmin, it's not something where we're finally getting the high-res Pikmin cutscene we've always wanted. It's like more fun. It's like the writing, I guess, and with the kind of the whimsy of how he put the stories together, put the films together.
Well, here's my question, Brandon, is how do I see those videos?
Oh, you have to buy those videos. Yeah, buying videos.
How much are they? How much are those shorts?
$5 a pop, or like $12 for all three?
It's $5 for all three.
It's $5 for all three. Okay.
On the 3DS or on the Wii U, you spend $4.99 to watch these shorts, which I think are 20 minutes total runtime altogether.
It's a weird thing. I hope that didn't take up like a lot of his time. But then again, I also remember saying while the stream was going that man can do whatever he wants.
He can, yeah, he absolutely can. Maybe it's better that he's doing that.
He's already got his Lifetime Achievement Award
why the rocks are there
from Brandon Jones, so he can.
When he was making Donkey Kong, no one was over his shoulder saying, "Hey, why is that pixel there, buddy?" You don't need some people.
It's a different era. It's a different era.
They don't need him doing that. Oh, he gets me angry sometimes. He really gets.
That cocky Miyamoto.
Let's quickly, as we wrap it up, talk about how worthless Amiibo is. Basically, it had been a secret how Amiibo would be implemented in other games other than Smash Bros. Until this announcement, until yesterday's Nintendo Direct. We learned that the implementation of Link Amiibo in Hyrule Warriors will give you an exclusive item. Not exclusive. You can pay for that item or with real money, or you can use your Link Amiibo to get that weapon. If you use any other Amiibo in Hyrule Warriors, you get a random item. Just like here's some, you can get rupees, or you can get a random little.
I'll tell you when the worthlessness of this is going to get really extreme.
Yeah.
So, Rapunzel. We were playing in Disney Infinity the other day, and you popped Rapunzel on. You were like, "Oh, can she whip her hair around?" I'm like, "No, she uses a frying pan." And you're like, "Oh, come on!" But you were still like, even though we're in 2.0 now, and the new characters came out, and Marvel and all that stuff, she still works. You can still put her on the base.
Yeah.
She can still jump into the game. She can still play. She can use any items. Any upgrades that they add to the game will affect her in the toy box. She can still run around. These are all Smash characters that they're now kind of in this season, in the 2014/15 era of Amiibo. They're trying to figure out what games those are going to connect to. In 2016, those Smash Brother characters are going to be worthless.
Yeah.
All the games that they're coming out with in 2016 are not going to connect to these Smash Brother characters. They're going to move on to something else. So unlike Rapunzel, who even 3, 4, 5 years down the line is still going to be playable, even like that Gen 1 Spyro you got is still going to be playable in Skylanders, and you can still, might not be super effective or very interesting.
He was good. He was all right.
Can still do something. Can still go in the game and run around. Some of these characters will literally have no functionality whatsoever with new games at all. Yeah. That's my fear. I think that's where they're going.
No, I mean, if you have, let's say, Wii Fit Trainer, and you try to use it on Mario Kart, it will do nothing.
Right.
You don't get anything for that. It's just like, no, thank you. Don't own that amiibo.
Well, I mean, the thing that was weird to me is the ones that are for Mario Kart. Like, there are a couple of good-looking ones, but it's like, oh, well, you can make your Mii look like another Nintendo character. And like, Mario Kart is full of Nintendo characters that are not.
He's such a realist, man.
It's worth explaining that. Yeah. So there are
it seems so obvious, but
there are 8 amiibos that are compatible with Mario Kart, and that's what they do. You get a costume for your Mii that your Mii will wear.
But I don't even usually want to drive as the Mii. I want to drive as another
like Yoshi
better
pajamas,
basically.
Yeah, exactly. Like you get a Captain Falcon outfit for your Mii, but you can't play Mario Kart as Captain Falcon.
Yeah, even though Mario can steal his car.
Yeah, exactly. Mario has stolen his car in the new DLC.
There's that Grand Theft Auto Mario that people have been talking about all this time.
Yeah, so there it is, Amiibo. Damiani, you like Amiibo?
I'm kind of.
It seems like yes. What are you trying to say right now?
I don't really like it.
What do you love about Amiibo? He kind of wants to like it. He does.
What's going on?
I thought there was gonna be a game for it. Like that's what I got excited about. Or there would be a special version of that character unlocked when you like I thought, oh, Hyrule Warriors, you're gonna get like a special edition Link character to fight as.
Nope.
And Smash Brothers, you're gonna get like alternate outfit like Link or something not like stupid meek clothes, but like an actual like cool version of Link, maybe like Fierce Deity Link or something. I don't know. But and then like maybe down the line there's gonna be like a specific Amiibo Nintendo game. I was like, all right, this might be cool. You know, I don't. Skylanders and Disney Infinity have their own thing. Like maybe Nintendo's gonna do their own game. Like, and I was like, it should have been Pokemon, but
it should not. No,
this is like weird. Like I think they're gonna sell okay because Nintendo fans want to buy like the figures. They like collectibles, and Nintendo hasn't been the best at putting out merchandise and collectibles unless you live in New York and have the Nintendo World Store right next to you. So it's like a way for fans to finally like purchase this stuff and like feel like they're part of like the whole consumerism like merchandise part of Nintendo, which makes Kyle cringe.
You're right though. You're absolutely right.
It's just they're late to the party, so it's another reason like Nintendo wants to make money, but there's obvious things they don't do that they could be making lots of money off of.
It's actually more dastardly of a sell than Skylanders and Infinity because with those games, you get the figure, you put it in the game, you try out the abilities, and like, yeah, you might have to level them up more to try later skills, but you get it. Like I put Aladdin on, I'm like, cool, Aladdin. After 5 minutes, like, I got it. I get that figure. Whereas like the way they sell Amiibos, it's like, well, here's what they unlock in these games, and who knows what they could do in the future.
I know.
Yeah, like, this is a message.
Who knows what value you could get out of these figures? It's like,
I'm just worried it's going to be too ambiguous at some point.
More.
And like, there's going to be the focus on what a new game does, and then like the Amiibo functionality is this whole other thing, and people are going to lose track eventually of like, wait, what does this one do on this one? Like, do people just like start just trying it, and then they're just going to forget about it after a while, and just be like, these action figures.
Who knows?
Yeah, like it's just not very.
Infinity has a Hall of Heroes where you can go and you can see your figures all lined up in the statue form when you unlock them, and however high level they are, it turns from like a bronze statue to a silver to a gold.
Cool.
The Mii U, what is it called? I don't know the Mii U. The Wii U, what's your little like hub where you hang out? I don't own this console.
It's called Miiverse.
Miiverse needs a Hall of Heroes for Amiibos. Miiverse needs a social plaza where when you put your figure on, you become that character, and you can run around that world and interact with stuff.
Brittany, I wish Nintendo
maybe set it up like
consulted you.
Maybe it's stuff like Nintendo Land.
I wish Nintendo consulted you. I wish they said, okay, we're going to do some toy initiatives. Let's talk to Brandon Jones. Let's figure out what we have to do.
I'm still Brandon at GameTrailers.com. They can email me anytime.
They have the Animal Crossing Plaza.
Yeah, it could happen.
Connected to the 3DS game.
But the thing is, I like the idea of Miiverse because it pops up right when you open up the console.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone sees that, whereas you have to like access the Animal Crossing thing.
And maybe you can if you can unlock a statue in that Miiverse area, even when you like invite your friend over and like I don't have that amiibo, but my friend does, so I invite my friend into that area while he's that amiibo and it unlocks.
Well, and I think the other thing too is so Smash Brothers, you level up the amiibo, but I don't see how there's any kind of benefit to like, oh, if I use it in Smash Brothers, and I used it in Mario Kart, and I used it in Hyrule Warriors. Like,
It won't
if
carry
there's
over.
any kind of combined experience, like I think, yeah, like having that show up in a plaza of some kind would be interesting.
Yeah.
At least they haven't done like power discs or traps or any like plastic periphery that the figures need. So they've stayed away from that.
I do want to move on, but they have announced they're going to do tinier amiibos and cards with little RFIDs on them. That was a recent announcement. That's the future of amiibos. It's like we're gonna scale them. You can get cards,
Pokemon trading card
and you
game
can get
coming back.
tiny amiibos, and you get the larger scale amiibos. So it's gonna get awful. It's gonna get so bad. It's
Oh
gonna
yeah,
get
no,
worse.
for sure.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's still salvageable at any point because with every Skylanders and Infinity, it's like a new chance for them to upgrade all the tech and make it more interesting.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, it's just totally going to get worse. Like that game could happen. They could just announce it someday. You know, where they like try Year of Amiibo, it doesn't work out. And they're like, okay, I guess I gotta call them Amiibo. Amiibos is not a word.
Yeah.
It's always Amiibo.
Plural of amiibo is amiibo.
I got one Amiibo. I got two Amiibo.
3 amiibo. I'm so done talking about amiibo. They make me angry. Really cool trailer popped up this week, very early. It showed Grand Theft Auto 5 in first person for 8th gen consoles. Brandon has a gleeful smile on his face. Brandon, what was this trailer like for you watching this?
This trailer was great because it was something I like got into work and somebody like grabbed me and they were like, the first person trailer, have you seen that? Or I think I saw it on Twitter and I hadn't watched it yet. So I came into work and I'm like, wow, I clearly have to watch this. And it started out and I was like, okay. And then 30 seconds later, my brain exploded. And usually that happens like right away, especially with gameplay where you see something for the first time. It's like, oh, you kind of get it right when you look at it. And my expectations were so low for this. It was like, oh, that's kind of fun, but I've already played this game. It's a huge game. It's not just that I played through the story. Like, I played online a ton. And even when I play online and I jump back into the single player game, I have to at least for 30 minutes run around and blow up cars and just like cause havoc. So like, I put so many hours into this game. This mode can't possibly totally change the experience. And it totally changes the experience.
It totally does.
When he's in the cockpit and he's like, oh, somebody's on your plane, and he looks out the window at the guy that's like on the side. It's like, oh my God, it's a totally different mission now. It's crazy. It takes me all the way back to playing Twisted Metal on the PlayStation 1 and being like, I'm in the car. I can see my hands on the wheel. You know, it's like
Takes you back there. That's crazy.
How many years later? 20 years later?
Yeah.
Way back. Like right back to that point. Like, and somebody said Oculus, which I didn't even think of. I was like, oh my God, when this comes out on PC and whoever figures that out.
Yeah.
Oh God. The reload, I think, was one of the things that I knew. It was like, that's why this announcement wasn't made. That's why tech like this takes so long for Rockstar to implement sometimes, because they don't want to just slap it in there. They want it to be awesome. And so it's like when he like first reloaded that, you know, that it wasn't like Skyrim where it's like Skyrim in third person. It's like it's not, you know.
Yeah.
It's a third person perspective of the first person game. Where like this is a first person game that just happens to be Grand Theft Auto 5. So everything, all the animations, everything is like, it fits that perspective because they made it fit, because they spent a lot of time working on it.
And that's the weird thing is I feel like such a dumb sellout for being excited about that game becoming a first-person shooter, but it's strangely exciting.
The motorcycle shot was thrilling. You know?
It's like that game doesn't exist right now. There's no first-person open-world game, I think. So it's
first person. There is, but there's no first person.
What do you mean?
I mean, Far Cry. You know, Far Cry 3 is, you know.
Yeah, Far Cry 3 doesn't have like that city though. I mean, you know what I mean? I guess Far Cry 3 is definitely like a sandboxy type game, but yeah, I guess this is just it's going to be an unusual game in itself, just for that change of perspective, which makes no sense.
I mean, like the whole time you're playing that game, you're not paying attention at all to anyone's eye line. You know, it's like when you have all these scenes, but it's like now it's like I'm going to be looking into the eyes of every single person. I have to play that entire game in first person.
Damiani's eyes glazed over. Are you not excited at all about this?
I don't know.
That's why it's good. That's why we had to have the scale on the panel. Why is this? Explain to us why it's not worth getting excited.
I haven't talked about GTA 5 first person nearly a third of the time that he talked about Majora's Mask. Just want to put that out there. Now you may speak, Damiani.
I mean, it'll be cool to try out and stuff. Like, so my plan is, for full disclosure, I'm gonna play the PS4 version when it comes out, and I'm gonna play it over Thanksgiving because I haven't played GTA 5.
Full disclosure,
I haven't played
okay.
GTA 5 at all. Haven't touched the game at all.
Oh, great.
So I'm gonna play it on PS4, and I'll try playing it with that feature when I want to. I'm sure it'll be cool because all GTA, like I don't remember playing, or I remember playing the PS2 GTAs because I also didn't play 4. I played the PS2 ones and I stopped playing them.
Okay.
And it'll be interesting to be like being so used to the over the shoulder, the wide view, and all of a sudden like going into first person or something like that, it'll be like, huh, like this might be cool. So I'm not like blown away by it yet because I really haven't been paying too much attention to it. But I'm sure once I like see it in action, I'll be like, yeah, this is pretty cool. Why didn't they do this like sooner? Like this is like
Because we couldn't before, I think.
Nah,
Yeah.
I mean, or they, I don't know. I don't think they couldn't have done. I think
Well,
maybe the level of detail they do. Like when I see it, I'm like, man, they put a lot of effort into this. This isn't just like, oh, this the camera just goes like behind their head and stuff,
Yeah.
and like no extra animations. It's like you don't even see the gun when you're shooting.
Well,
type
like
thing.
Watch Dogs, you can go first person in the cars, but it's like they kind of blur the cockpit
Okay.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, they had to make the interiors of all those cars, and I think they redid the guns up close so they look good when you're holding them and reloading them, as Brandon
Right.
says.
And it's just the way those games are built. They're built to the environments are built to be seen in third person. Like if you imagine if GTA was only a first person game, it's like why would you customize your character? Why would I wear an outfit if I can never look at myself?
Yeah.
And so it's actually it's getting the shots of you like holding the gun and like walking through areas for the first time, and it's just like it's a movie. And so like in movies, you're never in first person. You always want to, they're all crime films basically. And so I think it's something that was never like, oh, we need this in this franchise. This franchise is broken without this. Those idiots at Rockstar, why aren't they doing this? But at the same time, it also feels like that one guy just finally was like, we're doing it. We're actually gonna put this monumental amount of time into pulling this off with this engine.
Blood, do you think this is going to be a big game this fall?
Oh yeah, of course it is. It's gonna be so many people that just assumed that this game was gonna happen and didn't buy it last year and been waiting for the next gen version.
I can't assume there's too many of those. It sold crazy last year.
Yeah, but I'm sure they're out there, and there are plenty of people that are gonna buy it again, regardless. Yeah,
Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones will, yeah.
But I'm still not entirely convinced that it's going to be comfortable to play that whole game in first person. I feel like it's going to be kind of constricted. There's going to be so much action and that kind of thing, especially when you're talking about, going on like some ATV across the desert and you're like bouncing up and down and like you can't really see where you're going. I feel like I play a lot of racing games, so I kind of have that like, okay, when I'm in a like more realistic type of racing game, I like to be in first person. I feel more in control in the cockpit.
It's like a Forza or a Drive Club.
Yeah.
Blood is in first person the entire game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But something like Need for Speed, where I got cops ramming me and people spinning me around, and I have to drift around corners. Like, no, I want to be in third person. I want to have a broader view of everything going on. So, and it'll be interesting to see, like, they've had to have put a lot of effort into the controls as well if it's going to feel right. So, I don't know. What do you think about trying to shoot in first person in a GTA?
Yeah, but it's like changing my gun type. Like I've the assault rifle I like, and the shotgun that I like, and it's like changing that because it's like, oh, I don't like the crosshairs of this gun. I never looked at them before. Again, yeah, when he went into that aiming mode, it was just like, oh my god, they did it. They actually like, it's not a gimmick. And it's also awesome, just again, to talk about like the trailer specifically. There's a ton of gameplay, and they actually picked a lot of. You mentioned the on the bike. One of my favorite missions in that game is you shoot down a plane as one character, and then you swap to Trevor, who's already on his bike, and you try to hunt the plane to try and find it. And it's just like crossing a freeway. It's like think about it in third person because it's like I can see that there's no cars, but in first person, like I don't know, I have to look that way and I got to look that way. Yeah. Make sure a bus doesn't just like take me out trying to cross the street. So. I think the greatest investment, like it's very exciting for people that haven't played GTA 5 to jump into it now. It's like the perfect opportunity, but it's like such a, like I don't have time to play this, but it's such a great time investment to play this game and like every single one of those moments, like actually experiencing them from a completely different perspective with vehicles and stuff. Like trying to fly, like when you're trying to crash a plane into another plane, there's that mission, like trying to, take the Jeep out of the other plane and the Jeep goes flying out. And just like, I put that shot in the trailer and like being in the, being in the car's spinning out of control.
Yeah.
Falling from the sky.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's, I know it's a remake, but to me it's a weirdly fine example of, hey, this is something you couldn't have last generation, this is something you can have this generation. And so for that reason, it does seem like a really cool 8th gen purchase.
I think the biggest bugs are going to be people, because you're also going to get like really up close and personal with all the characters in the game.
And do you think they'll look like dumb? I
just don't think they're not going to. Those eye lines I think are going to be a little wonky.
And like my latte, and you're like, oh, okay, this is fake.
Like the yoga mission, does the camera like go upside down when he's doing a handstand?
Don't get me started on that yoga mission. They probably took it out. They're like, hey, you know what? Bossman is right. We don't need that mission. That was a stupid mission. Let's take it out of the game. Now it's definitive.
We'll see.
Oh, no, they're going to keep that in. They love to make little yoga jokes. Let's do, well, you're the one who started this conversation. We got to...
I feel like there should be giant comic book letters coming out.
Well, that's a whole other...
But, yeah.
That's a tricky thing. We got to edit this in a half hour. We got a few suggestions. I definitely want more. In the comments section, hit us up. Give us some more suggestions. This is from Hanny Sonic. You started this conversation. What about Shenmue 3? Will it appear? And Shenmue HD? Would it make profit? And should it be a console exclusive? Basically, this he has his icon is Shenmue 3 too, or her. This person's very curious about Shenmue 3, and the reason I picked this is Shenmue 3, I guess, is one we hear about a lot. Maybe it's because we work with Michael Huber, but it's kind of like a Majora's Mask. It's definitely that kind of game where it's like, why hasn't this happened yet? And I'm curious to this panel, why hasn't it happened yet? Why does Shenmue get love as a series but not get releases?
I wonder if numbers are so attached to something as like a stigma. Like, I don't know how much Shenmue 1 and 2 made collectively or each game made individually.
I think they both lost.
But like whatever that number is, it's just that's the answer. You know, it's just anytime it ever comes up, it's like, how much did that sell? Oh yeah, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
If there's just literally like a base number that it doesn't. I don't care how many fans it has now. I don't care how many followers the Bring Shenmue Back group has on Facebook. It's that sales number.
It's at dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
it'd have to be a Kickstarter or a passion project from somebody.
Well, then that wouldn't happen because it's Sega.
Right.
But I mean, I think at the very least, I don't know what it would cost, but it would be interesting to see what would happen if they released. It's sort of like the PlayStation Classics type thing, where they don't do any kind of crazy up-res work or whatever, but they just literally get like a Dreamcast emulator together and get the game running and get it out there. Because I mean, you couldn't release a Shenmue 3 without doing at least that to begin with, because you can't expect people to just jump into that story midway, with some half-hour cutscene or whatever to try to explain everything that happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see if something like that came out and if it actually, would warrant them to do anything more with the series. Because, there's definitely the Shenmue fans, but there's definitely not enough of them to make a game on that scale.
So I guess it's that. It's Damiani. Relate this to Majora's Mask, where it has fans but didn't sell as crazy as other entries. Do you think Shenmue is good enough? Basically the thing is, Nintendo believes right now Majora's Mask is good enough to sell to people who haven't played it before. Is Shenmue good enough to sell to people who haven't played it before?
So the only thing is, I don't know Shenmue's sales numbers. But Majora's Mask sold millions when it came out. Yes, it did. Sold millions. It came out in N64. I mean, it was one of the weaker selling 3D Zeldas, but it still sold, multiple millions of copies. And they've only seen the fan reception to it. Like, it's usually tossed around, even in mainstream media. Like, people still throw around Majora's Mask a lot as a game they want to see. So the difference is Zelda fan base and how many sales expectations for Zelda games are way higher than what I think a Shenmue game would ever be. I think the first Shenmue was the big one where it kept hyping this thing as this could change video games. I didn't care about Sega back then, and even I was like, holy crap, this Shenmue game, they keep saying this is the future of video games. They're giant budget, all this real world, it can go anywhere and stuff. It was the precursor to open world games. It was something like that. It was what they were building it up.
It's kind of funny because they both have that whole system where you could follow a character around for a day.
Oh gosh.
There's that parallel.
Yeah.
And it didn't sell well apparently. Well, the Dreamcast didn't apparently because Sega said bye-bye to hardware, and then they changed up how they did their strategy. However, I don't know. I think Kickstarter I don't understand why Sega can't do a Kickstarter. I don't know if there's a legal reason why a company that actually developed games can't be oh, we can't start a Kickstarter for this game for some reason. Otherwise, I just put.
They probably could. I mean, Harmonix did a Kickstarter.
Yeah, just let fans there you go. Gauge what fans would pay for this. And Kickstarter allows fans that want it more to pay more than if it was gonna be a $50, $60 release. At least the Kickstarter would be this person might donate $1,000 because they just want it that badly. Like they might have that disposable income. Like I've wanted Shenmue 3 forever. Just let me like have the chance to pay. I can't fund the whole
give
game,
them $1,000,
but like I could give you like get a few of us together. We'll get you enough money. Like I don't understand why they just. That would be the easiest path to just getting this done. So it's like do a Kickstarter, see how much the fans would pay for it, and if it's like you see like oh that's enough to cover the cost of development of Shenmue 3, there you go wild. We don't have to worry about sales of this game, and anything it does sell extra, it's extra money to us. The only other way, I keep trolling about this, but it's only like a half troll because it's also half serious. The only way this game is happening is if Nintendo goes to Sega and it's like, hey, like we like helping your games out and stuff. You know, we want more exclusives.
We did Bayonetta 2.
Microsoft and PlayStation, apparently, like, you know, everyone thought Mark Cerny was going to bust, you know, with, they were going to, like, that, what was that event where they had to talk about Shenmue? And everyone's like, it's going to happen.
I think it was GDC?
PS4 Shenmue 3 is happening. And it didn't happen. It was like, yeah, because, you know, Sony knows that game won't sell enough. Nintendo just be like, hey, Shenmue 1 and 2 HD on Wii U exclusive, and then Shenmue 3. And then we'll give you some money and you make it work, and we'll give you resources.
And if it sells 500,000 copies, we're not even mad.
They just want a reason to get people to buy it. Like, because those fans who would pay whatever they were necessary to get the Kickstarter funded would go buy a Wii U. Like, there's no Sega platform anymore, so they're not loyal to anything. So it's like, Nintendo has it, we're going to buy Wii U's right now. You know, they might get, like, a small bump and more goodwill towards the community. They'd be like, man, like, you know, this is great. Like, you know, I don't know. I could see there could be some arrangement made there, I feel like, because Nintendo keeps funding the Sonic games, and they're not selling that great on Wii U, so I don't know. Like, there's something going on there where it's still working out somehow.
Nintendo's just like, even if they're selling, again, 500,000 Sonic games, they're like, well, at least none of those are on other consoles. I think that's where that money proposition comes in for them.
Yeah, I mean, I also have to wonder, now, like, in terms of marketing a new Shenmue or something, like a lot of that hype for Shenmue was because of the graphics and because of like how much effort they put into like recreating that world.
That's a great point.
You know, and so it's like, oh, I can like walk around the kitchen and I can open the fridge and I can open this drawer and I can, you know, see all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And like now we get that in a lot of different games. So like, what's special about Shenmue other than continuing that story? Right,
for Shenmue to have to be that, it'd be an enormous budget for, oh my gosh, for it to do what Shenmue did then, for Shenmue to do that today, is kind of unfathomable.
Yeah, so it's interesting to think about like what they would have to do to actually plan out.
Not to mention just open world games in general. There's just a ton of open world games now. Mm-hmm. I love the genre, and I just get like, you know, I can just bask in the glory of open world, you know, like Shadow of Mordor, GTA. Like, even just Sleeping Dogs got an HD remake. That was great.
Oh, I remember, like, being just blown away by the fact that, like, you could pick up a soda can and look at the ingredients in your hand, you know? It's like, there's so much detail. And now, you know, like, GTA's got a ton of that kind of thing with all of their funny brands and stuff.
But what if there's a trailer for Shenmue 3 where it's first person?
Yeah.
Next gen? Mind's blown?
Maybe.
I don't know. It's true. It'd be so hard for them to have that impact they had on Blood looking at the can today. It'd just be another tens of millions of dollars. So that's our. You're the one who started.
This conversation.
It is, because that poor person.
We can start a conversation. We don't know how to end it.
Poor Hanny Sonic probably wanted us to be like, yeah, that should exist. It's going to. We're gonna have it.
We got the best idea of how you can do it.
Yeah, and that's why the segments.
Well, why the hell's Grim Fandango coming back? Everyone loves it. Didn't sell that well, right?
Yes.
No adventure game sold well ever.
Yeah. Sony worked for it.
It was just totally a passion project.
Yeah.
It was just some meeting that went really well.
Yeah.
You know, like
that's what it would take.
They even made like a coy joke about Tim Schafer. They put him up on screen. They're like, "Look at this crazy guy who we're working with."
Yeah.
He just wanted to make it. We were like, "Okay." You know, like. It just has a very friendly vibe. It does. You can't really zero in on like clearly Fandango's coming back now because of blank. You know?
But that's so much easier to do than even a Shenmue HD. You know, it's just so much easier. So anyway, if you want us to poop on your dreams, please give us more segment ideas. You're the one who kind of started the conversation. It can still happen. All it takes is one weird deal. Anyway, let's do our closing bet for this week. BlizzCon is this weekend. We have a few staff members going to BlizzCon this weekend. How many minutes of the opening ceremony will be devoted specifically to StarCraft?
Ooh.
as our bet this week. Damiani, you may go first or last.
I will go last.
Okay. Blood, what is your bet?
Gosh. StarCraft, huh?
Yeah, StarCraft.
See, this is the problem. I'm not at all.
Opening
familiar with
ceremony
this
is
stuff.
45 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's about time for them to announce the Protoss.
No, I know that much, but beyond that, it's kind of tricky because I'm just not familiar with how the event usually goes. I'll go with 8 minutes.
Okay. Brandon.
7 minutes.
Ouch. You really undercut Blood there.
That was my number. I was going to go.
I'm going with 1 minute.
Kyle's gonna get the win. There's nothing there.
Well, I don't know, because Damiani gets last bet.
All right, 10 minutes.
Ooh, he's going high. How could you see them doing 10 minutes of StarCraft?
Because if it's 45 minutes long and they're talking about StarCraft, they're going to talk about WoW, which will get the majority of it. And I bet they'll have one in Hearthstone. I bet they try and keep
And
it
Diablo.
one third. Diablo's going to get the least amount of time.
Yeah, you're right, actually. They probably won't have much to say
I
about
bet,
Diablo.
so it's 45 minutes, like WoW will probably get 20 minutes. Hearthstone will probably get like 10 minutes to 15. And it's like, what, 30, like...
And you gotta account for like 10 minutes of, how y'all doing?
Oh, no, totally, because they have to bring out so many people, and there's so
yeah.
many, guys that just love talking, getting up on stage and stuff. I even went to like the Draenor like trailer announcement event, and there was at least 10 minutes of them, like, hey, what's up, everybody?
Let me hear you.
Yeah.
Let me hear you.
Any horde out there? Woo, okay,
I can't hear you.
Which is great. That's why BlizzCon's great, because it's so genuine, like all the excitement and all the fervor.
I just feel like each game will get at least 10 minutes of that 45, and then that gives like 5 minutes of like hoopla at the beginning and end or whatever.
2
It's
minutes
just,
for
it's just an
Metallica.
opening ceremony.
I'm gonna guess that there's gonna be at least one new game there too.
Opening ceremony is
A new game from Blizzard?
Rock and Roll Racing 2.
Bloodworth, do you realize how huge that statement you just made is?
Yeah, but they've been talking about that. How Hearthstone was like, it's a really small game, it's successful, and they canceled Titan.
Yeah. So you think they're just going to come out with a new game suddenly?
I think that they
Rock and Roll Racing 2. It's called Heavy Metal Racing, starring Metallica. I'm calling it right now.
Oh, that'd be cool. All right.
Yeah,
I'm calling it right now.
mean, I don't know for sure about that, but I think that they probably have multiple Hearthstone-sized games.
It's gonna be
That'd be
DLC,
interesting.
Heavy Metal Racing, just like Hearthstone. It's gonna be a smaller
DLC?
game. Not DLC, but like it's a downloadable game.
Oh, okay. No, there's no way that could possibly work. I do think they'll do PvP for Diablo 3. I think that'll finally show up. And I'm buying in on those rumors about a PvP console World of Warcraft game. That's such a cool idea that I think it's got to be real.
Maybe.
Because like that's the way to put Warcraft on consoles is like, don't do the whole world, don't do the world.
And the
Warcraft,
movie.
But
I'm talking about the movie too.
oh yeah, that movie's gonna take up 10 minutes.
We'll see.
Okay, cool. Let me lock those in.
You just saved us like a whole weekend.
Yeah,
man.
another whole weekend of bet busting. We have a twist. We have a twist, ladies and gentlemen. Last week's bet was how many words would be in the final sentence spoken by Kevin Spacey's character in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
I like Advanced Warfare.
Advanced Warfare. Brandon Jones thought he remembered. He thought he knew. He thought he had this one on lock. However, if you watch the scene, the final scene featuring Kevin Spacey, again, I'm going to try to avoid spoilers here.
All right.
He says 2 words in his final sentence.
All right.
The first one is with 3 A's and 4 H's.
Did you bring up subtitles? Yeah. It says it in the subtitles?
It says with subtitles.
I'll go with subtitles. I'll go with subtitles because that's a definitive way. You can count.
Yeah.
You can count subtitles. Yeah.
So, the winning bet is 2 words. Blood, you were gone at the moment, but Ian made a bet for you of 2 words.
Nice.
I lost the game I played.
Ian, get me back in there.
Ian got you back in. Blood, that's your first win in a long time.
It is.
So now Blood is at 11. He keeps his lead of 2 over Damiani at 9. Me at 6. Brandon Jones at 5. I can't believe that happened. What a switcheroo.
I was not expecting that.
You don't even.
I was not expecting that.
You don't even hear the that much. Like, I think what happened is I'm really going to try to avoid spoilers. Kevin Spacey saw that line. I feel like some actors, voice actors even, they see the script and they're like, I'm not going to do that dumb little thing in there.
Right.
I don't think he's, you know what I mean? But what they end up putting up as subtitles is just what the written script was. And so it was 2 words.
But they, oh, sure, that's not a spoiler at all. I mean, he could just be like, ah.
Yeah, it could be,
Yeah, exactly.
lifetime.
Kick it back on the beach. No spoilers at all. Well, now I know Kevin Spacey makes it to the end of the game. Thanks, Kyle.
Sure. My coffee. That's 3 words. I don't even know.
Wow.
Relaxation.
Because you know those COD spoilers, man. People lose their minds over that stuff.
No, the whole game leaks like 20 every time. You know, it's so ridiculous. Blood, you won, man.
I won.
You get to plug a video and close us out.
Blood.
Yeah, it's weird because
Blood.
the schedule of things has not favored me, so I haven't had anything really.
To plug? You have nothing to plug right now?
Wow, not a fan of anything we're producing right now.
What's that?
It doesn't have to be your own
I'm
video.
producing I have my hands in practically half the stuff that we're doing, but anything that's I have super ownership of.
You don't have to own it. You can just be any video you like on GameTrailers.com.
No.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if it'll be up. It should be up. Trailer Academy. Trailer Academy is back.
Oh, that's nice.
That's Blood. I mean, I still have to watch Rough Guys, but I'm excited. I think it's really cool.
What is Trailer Academy?
Yeah.
Trailer Academy is where Brandon tells people what to do. He analyzes and critiques trailers, and and now for this new set, he's actually going to the companies to see how they make their trailers and what they do. And so it's not just Brandon himself, but it's going to the people actually doing it.
Who's he talking to this weekend?
It's the WildStar guys, right? Carvine Studios.
Yep. Who are thankfully local.
Yeah,
Very cool.
in California.
It's kind of a weird, to me it came across as a weird pick to go with the first one of these, but it's definitely interesting to see how it all comes together, see a little behind the scenes animatics and all of that.
He picked me. He promoted me. It's good for Blood. Blood approved.
That was good of you, Blood. That was good. That was a good plug.
Thanks, man.
Good plug.
Now I got to do something nice for Blood.
Yeah, exactly. Brandon always hogs the plugs to himself.
I mentioned 2. They're all mine.
But yeah, so here are all of our Twitter handles, and check us out, and we'll be back next week. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? It's been a while.
Just say thanks. I always like saying thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Check out the comments. We'll be there.
I love
Down, Yanni. What's in your mug? It's gonna be ridiculous. Always.
It is gonna be ridiculous. I'm looking at you, Kyle. Ready for this?
I don't think so. Oh, come on!
Wait.
You can't do that.
You can't do that yet.
Yeah, I can.
Can you?
Yep.
Are we under embargo? Are we
nope.
under an amiibo embargo?
Unlimited photos and videos of amiibos is permitted right now.
Wow.
Well, there we go.
Look at that.
If you're just listening to us, Damiani
Yeah.
pulled a Mario amiibo out of his mug.
Where'd that come from? I didn't unlock any features in my mug, though, sadly. See? No special GT time character. False advertising.
I was thinking, when we first started, I was like, oh, it's a shame. It'd be great if you pulled out an amiibo, but we can't.
Yeah,
But apparently we can.
Unlimited
It
video.
says it on the sheet. Unlimited
Nice.
photos and videos of the figures.
So is that a good figure? What would you say about that figure?
I think that one's pretty good.
Uh,
The fireball's a little weird.
Look at the fireball. Like, why is it like in this hand? Like, why isn't it like? Why aren't the trail be going away from him? Like,
It's like he's playing basketball.
it's
Well,
like
it's-
it's like he's doing magic. He's like,
shooting with the left hand too.
I don't get this. Like, what the heck?
I think
is
he's
he
like
doing?
winding up. Like he produced the
No.
fireball over here, and then he's winding up to throw it.
Okay.
And then, like, he's about to chuck it with his left hand.
So
He's
the
got
crazy
right
thing
hand
about
up, just
the
like-
the first line of amiibo, like Brandon talks about the work that they put into Disney Infinity figures. With amiibo, they're just like, oh, let's just use those renders they made for Smash, and we'll just make a figure exactly of that.
Right.
And that's why we had the issue with like Luigi having like a big thing that's like propping him up from his crotch, and like the thing that's like right under Captain Falcon's butt is like they're using these entirely impractical renders of their Smash Bros characters, and just like that's a figure. It's like no, making a figure takes more work than that, and now they're realizing it. Oh my gosh, I'm so amiibo bitter.
There you go, Kyle.
I can't believe you put that in your mug this week.